football team. Great day to be a Jaguar. We had an open week last week. Really good practices. We spent the first couple of days of working on us. And we did a self-scout. And we wanted to see what we did well, what we didn't do well, looked at personnel, corrected some things, got some guys a chance to get some rest and rehab. And guys moving around, they were excited, had a really good few days, and then we started, towards the end of the week, we started doing some prep for Nickel State. And then we took a couple of days off. We got back at it. We got back at it yesterday. Guys had really good energy. They were locked in. They were focused. They're excited to be back. So we're just looking forward to this week's preparation and then on Saturday. Questions?
Yeah, Coach, what did you see from Xavier Psat yesterday? I mean, you didn't have a chance to see him the last time I talked to you, but how's he coming along?
Oh, he's moving around well. He's out there trying to plan a little bit, and he was throwing the football around. He's bouncing around. So they're doing a really good job of getting him back. I think if he had it his way, he'd probably try to go. We're going to continue to see how he goes this week, and then, but me personally, I'm probably going to hold him.
When you look back at the Prairie View game, defensively, do you feel like that game is as close, if not for a lot of those 15-yard penalties and those busted coverages?
Well, the 15-yard penalties certainly didn't help. Busted coverages, that gave them the lead that they had, and that was communication. That we talked about last week, and we fixed that. One play, I take my hat off to Elijah West because he flat out said, Coach, I just got beat. And so when you got young men that will stand up and take accountability for what they did or didn't do, then you're always trending in the right direction. I just think it was a game that, they came out, those guys were motivated because we knew what was at stake. And so, they played the way they were supposed to play, and then our guys stepped up to the challenge at halftime, and we came out victorious.
It seems like the defense has been on the cusp of getting an interception. I mean, it seems like that's something that just slipped right through their hands. I mean, how much have you challenged them to finally come through and get some of those takeaways? Oh,
yeah, we challenge them all the time, and so it's a combination of hand-eye coordination, trying to run a little too fast before you get the ball, something that we worked on extensively last week. And we actually got some in practice last week, and so that was encouraging. So we just guys just can't get excited. They got to do what they know to do. They say defensive backs are receivers that can't catch the ball, but I beg the difference. Defensive backs can't catch the ball, so it's just hand-eye coordination. Just doing what they do naturally.
Coach, y'all are sitting in first place in defense in the SWAC, and I know it's early 4 games and it's not a lot of light competition, but the defensive line, how big a factor has that been in the way the defense has played this year, the consistency it's shown?
They've been a huge factor. Anytime you can be first in defense, it doesn't matter whether it's 4 games, 6 games, 12 games, you won't be first. And those guys are really doing a good job of what we're doing scheme-wise, and we're rotating and playing a lot of guys, so that helps as well. Again, we're not the old days, the old caveman days when one guy plays 80 snaps. We try to play as many guys that are prepared and can execute what we're doing. We really try to get those guys in and get them acclimated, and those guys understand it's about performance and results and production. So the defensive line is doing a really good job, and they're creating a lot of problems, which helps us. Anytime that you can get to the quarterback or you can stop the run with your 4 or your front 6, then it really helps you out, bodes well for your defense.
What do you think changed with Noah between the first and second half against Prairie View?
Just relaxing, let the game come to him, and then, being challenged. I had a conversation with him on the sideline, and I think he got settled in, and he understands. Noah's the type of guy that he likes to play at big moments, and that was a big moment, and he got in his groove, and I think that helped him.
How big of a step did the offensive line take after that game?
Was that?
I said, how big of a step did the offensive line take after that game?
Oh, it took a huge step. Again, we have basically a new offensive line, and so it's going to take a while to gel. And like I say, it's crock pot, it's not microwave. And those guys did a great job, especially that running the ball. When we ran the ball, and you can see those guys knocking guys off the ball, guys playing with a lot of excitement. And so when you see that, then you see it starting to come together. And those guys they know when they communicate, when they play on the same level, when they do what they're supposed to do, they can be a pretty doggone good offensive line. And they showed it. We had, of course, the final stats was, I think it was 189 or 191 yards rushing. We had over 200, but we had some negative yards. But anytime you can have that many yards running the football, that means the offensive line is doing their job. And of course, the running backs appreciated it because they did a great job of running the football as well.
You made a couple of changes on the offensive line starting lineup anyway. How did that work out? Do you feel like that helped y'all?
Yeah, I think it did. I think the offensive coaches, Coach Nivens and Coach Reckon, and those guys did a great job. Again, my thing is, you hear me say, scratch where it itches, and so you gotta mix it up. You gotta change. You gotta find the combination that works. And I think that we're still finding the combinations. And again, we're playing guys. Guys have to get comfortable with one another. And I think they're doing a really good job of trying to learn each other and communicating and trying to execute what we're trying to do offensively. And I think that group, once they got in the groove, they trusted one another a little more, and they talked a lot, and they got inspired. And again, when they dug in, and to see Cam Foster blocking a guy 10 yards down the field, that's encouraging. And to see some other guys doing it as well. So it's just a matter of those guys continue to work hard every day. I think what they've been doing offensively in practice the last couple of weeks has really paid dividends. They're doing some things old school, and I think those guys at first they were a little shell-shocked at it, but I think they're getting grooved into it and they appreciate it and they see why you do it.
Are you still rotating people in, or playing more than 5?
Yeah, we're still rotating. I think that's the key too. You gotta have bodies. You gotta have people, fresh bodies, guys that can play, can spell guys, and that's what you want. You want to be able to play guys to help your offensive production, and I think that's good. And those guys are chopping at the bit. Guys are getting better every day, and I tell you, even our freshman tackle, Brian Wallace, he's getting better every day. He's got a bright future, and if he continues to do what he does, the sky's the limit for him.
Coach, what are your thoughts on the Nicholls State offense?
Well, I'll tell you what, they're going to run the football. The physical football team, they want to run the football, and then they'll run the RPO. They'll run some hitch and go. They have a few trick plays in the bag, but for the most part, they're trying to run the football. They got big backs. They'll do some wildcat. They'll basically got a left-handed quarterback, and they got some really good running backs, and so they want to feature those guys. And Coach Rebo's a defensive guy like myself, so he wants to be physical. Those guys play through the whistle, and they play right at the edge. And so I told the team yesterday, we're going to have to really be disciplined to make sure that we don't get caught up into it. Now, of course, we always want to play through the echo of the whistle, but we got to understand that there's a fine line between playing through the whistle and playing after the whistle. So we're really paying attention and putting some emphasis on that this week.
What about defensively?
They are 4-2-5, 4-2-5 defense. They like to do a lot of. They play a lot of man coverage. They play some zone coverage. They marry it together, and then they do a lot of zone blitzing. Some people call it zone pressure, but it's really zone blitz. They like to do that more than a lot of people. A lot of people get away from zone blitz because they don't like to drop their defensive ends and things of that nature. But they do a great job of disguising, and they do a good job with it. And so we just got to make sure that we understand what's coming, when they're coming, what to look for, all the little triggers and alerts and things of that nature. And I think we'll be fine.
What does that running back Guggenheim look like on film?
Oh, he can run. He can run, and like I say, he's physical. Those guys, they want to run the football. I think they have 2 or 3 good running backs that They don't mind coming downhill. So, like I told the guys yesterday, I said, hey, here you go, inside and perimeter. So, good old-fashioned football. So, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting.
How big of an opportunity is when you have another in-state team coming here? They might bring a big fan base, and also when you mix in the battle for recruits, and when you have all of that in the pot for this Saturday, I guess how big of a excitement is that?
It's always big. It's always big. Anytime you play in-state rivals or in-state opponents, you know, it helps. You know, and you know, guys, bragging rights. You know, we beat them, they beat us, or what have you. But you know, the recruiting game, it's gonna help some. But you know, relationships matter, and so relationships that we have with the players and our recruits, we're gonna get the guys we're gonna get. And so I'm not too concerned about that. I love what we do as a staff recruiting wise. So that part of it is not really a big deal for me. The thing is, we want to win, so we can say, hey, we beat that team.
Coach,
Do you expect
22
a
years ago, you were assistant coach during that time when you played Nicholls State. All those years you played Coach Beat and all that stuff. What is your best memory of playing Nicholls State, going to Thibodeau and playing here in Baton Rouge?
My first experience was we played them in 1994. We went to 1 foot line and we fumbled the ball, and we wound up losing 13-7, I believe. That was my first experience in Thibodeau. But then the very next year they came here for homecoming, and we had a great turnout, and we had a great victory. So those are the things that I remember. That 1995 game, homecoming here was one I'll never forget. And over the years, you know, we've gone back and forth, but those 2 games stick out in my mind more so than anything.
You expect Horatio Johnson back?
Yeah, Horatio, he was back towards the end of last week, flying around.
Have you seen the resilience of your team grow from week 1 till now?
Oh, you know, they've taken on the attitude of the coaching staff. You know, we always talk about a Marine mindset, and that's what we do. You know, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what the situation is, the weather, the situation, we got to continue to fight. And to see those guys fight every week, and see those guys, and it paid off. It paid off in the last game. You know, we were down, and you know, a lot of teams were folded the tent. But those guys, they dug in and they did what we had to do to come out victorious. And I tell you, I take my hat off to them because it shows that they are really, they're all in, and you know, kudos to them for showing that moxie and that mettle to come back.
Coach, at every level you see rust possibly being a factor after a bye week. How do you make sure that doesn't really play into this game against Nicholls?
Well, you know, you got to do what you do normally. And I think those guys, we did that. We practiced. Last week we had on full pads, and we got after it a little bit. This week, today we'll have on full pads, and we'll get after it. And then tomorrow we'll do the same thing, and we'll go through what we go through. I don't think a week off, the rust. I don't think I don't see the rust in that. I think it actually helps because now you get some guys back that are sound. And guys are ready to go, and then they're chomping at the bit because you had a week off because you're used to going week after week after week. So now, okay, you had a week off, so now I'm kind of excited to get back in it. So I think we'll be ready to go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.